If you're a Xenos fan, then strap yourself in because we've just got a whole package of new Warhammer 40,000 lore. This is taken from the latest White Dwarf magazine, issue 500, the big one, and it's all about Blackstone. We've got Leagues of Votann, we've got Dark Eldar, Genestealers, Eldar. Let's jump in and let's get waffling. Now, as you can see in the background, this is one of many images that is taken from the brand new White Dwarf magazine. This is called Xenos Activities, and it states alien factions seek to profit from the war in the Nephilim sector. Now, Blackstone is this new resource that was kind of introduced during 8th edition, and it's been built on ever since. It kind of stops chaos. It helps neuter chaos in certain areas, psychic forces and stuff like that. And sometimes it can really harm certain factions, but in this case, and according to some of the text that's stated in this article, it's actually helping some of the factions actually like hide from damnation, help to actually fight chaos, help to actually take worlds and stuff like that. So when it comes to these factions, I'm going to start with the Orks and how the Blackstone is now affecting them, because with the Orks at the start, the Blackstone was actually calming wars. Like, they were like, you know, maybe we shouldn't, you know, butcher humans today. Maybe we should go and pick some teeth instead. But the mechs have completely turned that around because they've been plundering Imperial worlds. These Imperial worlds can't defend themselves because, you know, Blackstone Necron shenanigans, it's causing everything to be ripped apart and stuff. So the mechs have gone in, they've plundered these Imperial worlds, and they've retrofitted the Blackstone now to boost the war instead. Before it was calming them, now it's sending the Orks into absolute overdrive. We've had one war, yes, but what about second war, right? Double war rations for the Orks, and this is probably going to, you know, just not only explode in the Nephilim sector, but probably then across the galaxy itself. Like, amplifying the war is probably one of the worst things you can do because it just sends the Orks into absolute overdrive. Genestealers are completely immune to the Blackstone, according to this article, which begs the question, does that mean the Tyranids are going to be immune to Blackstone as well? It doesn't mention any Tyranids as far as I can see in here, but Genestealers are immune, which means that they're literally taking over planets with no effort, because Blackstone affects the normal Imperial citizens and stuff like that. So when it comes to taking over their planets, the Genestealer Cults, they have that genome of like the Tyranid and stuff like that inside of them. They have no effect, so they're literally just taking over planet after planet for the great Tyranid host to come and consume them and then move on to the next world. And talking about immunity, another faction which is immune to this are the Squats, the League of Votann, well, they're really called now in Warhammer 40,000. It states in the article, again summarized, the Leagues of Votann are immune, are basically on a rampage now across this sector, mining as much Blackstone as they can. They're like, okay, this is a viable resource. We can see what it can do to certain factions. We can see what power it has. So they've got into full overdrive, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and they are absolutely taking as much as they can. But the Necrons have seen this, and they're like, whoa, right? We need this resource to combat, to do certain things. So the Leagues of Votann and the Necrons have begun fighting each other for the Blackstone resource. I'm hoping that this has a ripple effect and we start to get more lore with the Leagues of Votann, maybe, and the Necrons now fighting, and that maybe adds more narrative, more books out there for the Leagues of Votann. I'm sorry, Leagues of Votann players, you don't really get that much love, it seems, in terms of novels and stuff like that. Maybe this is going to be the first novel, Necrons fighting Leagues of Votann. I'm moving on to the Dark Eldar, which is a bit of a good and a bit of a bad thing, depending like how much Dark Eldar you are. So when it comes to Blackstone, it basically nullifies chaos in a way, which is really good, it turns out, for the Dark Eldar, because they can move around, they can do stuff and hide from Slanesh. You know, when they die, their souls get eaten by Slanesh and stuff. That's part of the lore. But because it's Blackstone, they really can't get their how do I say this in a nice way, their S&M pleasure from killing and murdering and doing all sorts of devious things that they normally do to the civilian population, because the Blackstone is kind of nullifying that at the same time. It does mention that basically the Dark Eldar in this sector are kind of dying out, so maybe they're one of the races that are probably going to leave this sector because the Blackstone is just not worth it for them. And moving from the Dark Eldar to the Eldar, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky if you're an Eldar player, because we have an uneasy alliance at this moment, the Imperium and the Eldar faction. Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We're like combating chaos together, and in this case the Eldar are helping the Imperium trying to fight the Necrons in the sector. But it has a bit of a disadvantage for the Eldar, because the Eldar are finding that their souls are disrupted by the Blackstone. So if one of them dies, they aren't returning their soul to the craft world in case it pollutes the ship. So every Eldar death is like an eternal kind of death. That's the way I read it for the Eldar. So it's a big thing for the Eldar to start getting involved, to start sacrificing their lives, their troops to this cause, fighting the Necrons. Reading this article and, you know, looking at the broader narrative that we're in at the moment, because we're still more or less in the narrative of the Imperium fighting the Necrons fighting the Necrons, Vashdor coming into the Necron area and stuff like that. It looks like this may be coming to a certain end, and we're about to jump on to the next step of the next narrative. I personally think that is going to be the Techno War with Vashdor itself and the Inquisition, Perturabo, Iron Warriors, all the rumors that we've been hearing about that building up and building up and building up now. I think that is where we are heading once this Blackstone, once this Necron stuff is being finished with. So hopefully we'll start to see that by the end of this year, because it is looking like we've got to get something big in the next White Dwarf magazine. So that is probably going to coincide with the launch of the Chaos Codex, or around the same time as the Chaos Codex as well. So maybe some big things coming for that. But on that note, thank you for coming, thank you for watching. There you go, a little bit of Xenos lore on this Imperium based Space Marine channel for you people. I'm really happy that we got some Leagues of Votann lore, because Votann, of course, don't get anything. So if you're a Votann player, let me know how you think about going to war with the Necrons. Is this something that you want, or are you just going to hide away in your little, you know, squat caves as you normally do? Right, thank you for coming, thank you for watching, see you in a bit, have a great day, and bye-bye.